This is a short video to thank all my supporters who helped me to buy a brand new camera to replace my front-facing camera. Until now, my front-facing camera has been my iPad, which I'm using right now, and the front-facing camera of the iPad is not great. And whenever I was changing to my overhead camera, which is this Sony E10, it's a 4K camera, it's pretty nice, it produces pretty good pictures, well, the difference in quality was pretty obvious. So I set a GoFundMe page, and over the past 2 or 3 videos, I think I asked for your help to purchase a new camera, and the support has been absolutely amazing. Between GoFundMe and Buy Me a Coffee, I received about £850, minus some expenses, which I don't know at this time, but that's what you've donated. £850, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Now, my original request was for £600 because I had a look, I think it was around December, and I thought I could buy with £400 another E10 like this one, and maybe with £200 a different lens, and I'll explain you in a second. But meanwhile, prices have been crazy, and that's not the only thing that got crazy, but that's another story. And I didn't realize that to buy a second-hand Sony E10 Mark I, it takes more money than buying it brand new from Sony. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So it wasn't £400 anymore, it was more £500 to buy a second-hand or a brand new if you wanted Sony camera. Long story short, I ended up thinking, well, maybe I don't want to spend this amount of money for a pretty old camera which has been superseded by a new model. So I ended up purchasing a Sony E10 Mark II, still second-hand, which is the replacement for the Sony E10, which has now been discontinued. Now, it's not night and day, the cameras are pretty much identical in terms of performance, but this comes with a few bits that I think I'm going to use quite a lot for my videos. Something I'm always missing with my Sony E10 Mark I was the ability to have a large monitor in front of me where I can see what I'm doing. The built-in display is pretty small, so it would have been nice to have something larger in front of me. And yes, the Sony E10 Mark I does have an HDMI output, does have a USB output for streaming, but there are all sorts of limitations. For example, when I'm recording 4K, which is what I'm using for my videos, the moment I plug an HDMI output from the camera and I'm recording at the same time, well, the built-in display will get black. That's just a limitation of the camera. It doesn't have enough processing power to process both things. And then suddenly I have a feedback in front of me, but I'm losing control from the monitor itself. So if I want to focus something, for example, I can't see what I'm focusing on the built-in display, and I can't focus directly on the external monitor because it's just a monitor. And the E10 Mark II overcomes this problem. Obviously, it probably has more processing power inside, and I can output an HDMI while having the built-in display working, so that is great. I've also realized that I can stream through USB at 1080p on an external monitor while the camera is working and recording and displaying on the LCD. So I think I'm going to select one of these two options, and probably I'm going to use my Surface or a small monitor just in front of me. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but something like this that I can have in front of me, and I can actually see what I'm doing without having to look up in that tiny little monitor, sometimes not realizing that things are blurry, not centered, not in the right place, and I only realize after in post-production. The other thing is the crop factor. When recording 4K at 30 frames per second, which is what I'm using for my videos with the Gen 1, with the Mark I, there is a small crop factor. I think it's 1.15, so not the end of the world, but the camera is unable to use the whole sensor. It's only using a smaller part, again, because of processing power limitations. The Mark II is overcoming that problem, and now at 30 frames per second, I can use the whole sensor, which again is going to give me a little extra field of view, which is great for the new lens that I purchased, which I feel is going to be a massive upgrade on the one I had before, which is the stock lens. Stock lens, it's a 1650, it's an amazing lens, but it comes with a couple of limitations. Well, number one, it's only 50mm at maximum zoom, so that means if I want to zoom something in, there's a limit I can reach, and then I'll have to either move the camera down or get the board or whatever I want to record closer to the camera, which is never simple, because then I need to recenter everything, realign everything, move everything back up and down. It's not a simple thing. I end up not doing it. I can do something in post-production, of course. I can zoom in. This is 4K, so it's quite high resolution, but it's not the same thing. So when I thought about getting another camera to replace my iPad, I thought I don't need to buy a stock lens, I can buy whatever I want. And I ended up purchasing this Sony lens, it's an 18-135. So when it's set to 18, because the camera doesn't have any crop factor anymore, it just basically records as this one as 16. So in its wider setting is identical to this one. But this can go down to 135. I'll show you in a second. It's absolutely fantastic because I can zoom in quite a lot. I would say that maybe I don't need to use the microscope sometimes when I want to show you something because the camera is capable of zooming in optically quite a lot. And then obviously I can zoom in post-production a bit more because it's 4K, so it has quite a lot of resolution. And finally, the new lens has a manual zoom, which I really prefer. This one, it's motorized, which means I have to operate this lever, whatever you want to call it. And when I want to zoom in, it's never straightforward. I'm always zooming in too much or too little. I'm always going back and forth. It's never very straightforward. With the manual one, it's just a matter of turning this, and eventually I get a grip on how much I need. So it's just an instant thing. I turn it, zoomed in. That's it. I don't need to go back and forth with the motorized thing. I've been having this for a couple of days, so I've been using it very little, but I really like it. There's only one big downside, which is common with this one, but the moment I started streaming and using HDMI and using all these advanced features, well, the Mark II overheated after 10 minutes. And it's a known issue with these cameras. They tend to overheat. There is an option in the menu that allows you to set a higher temperature before the camera shuts down. But it's kind of puzzling that Sony are selling these cameras and they overheat at 30 frames per second. I can imagine a 60 frames per second, and even 120. I think you can buy like an optional license and enable 120 on these cameras. I guess they will probably only last for like 5 minutes. I'd imagine this is to avoid cannibalizing into their professional line of cameras. You can buy, I think it's called the FX30, which is the pro camera from Sony. It's probably using most of this technology and these components, but it has a built-in fan. The thing is, if they put a fan into this camera, well, who is going to buy the FX30 if the E10 II probably at like half the price can do the same? Now, thankfully, there is a workaround, because otherwise it would be unusable, because I think he overheated after like 15 minutes, and I record for much more than 15 minutes, and the solution is this, a fan. Yes, you can buy something that fits in here, and basically cools down the back of the camera, but for a number of reasons, I just ordered an Noctua fan, and I'm gonna just plug the fan on top. I did some tests with this very fan just running and recording 4K and streaming at the same time. And it recorded for an hour and then I stopped it because it was obvious that it was not overheating anymore. It's kind of weird that you spend like £1,000 on a camera and then it overheats by design. I don't know. Don't get me started on that. But the solution is just a little fan on top, or you can buy, there's a number of little small fans, but they tend to be noisier, and there's something I don't like about them for a number of reasons. So let me quickly show you the difference between my old Mark I and the new Gen 2. This is the E10 Mark I, the one I've been using so far with the standard lens. This is set to minimum, so that's 16mm, and if I want to zoom in, that's the maximum I can do. And once again, I have this little lever on the camera, and you know, it has a life of its own, basically, a mind of its own. So if I want to zoom in and zoom out, yes, I can do it. But it's okay. I tend not to do it because I know it will never go exactly where I want it, and I'll do it in post-production. It's doable, of course, but I was really looking forward to a manual zoom. But anyways, this is the closest I can get to my board, in this case, a random motherboard I had on the shelf. And in post-production, of course, I can zoom in with digital zoom by enlarging the video up to some point. Then obviously I lose resolution, but being 4K, obviously I can zoom in quite a lot. Let's switch to the Gen 2 and see what the new lens can do. And this is the new E10 Mark II with the new lens, and I've also taken the opportunity to replace the iPad with the other E10, so that's going to be my new front camera from now on. This is set to 18mm, and it should see exactly what the other camera was seeing with 16, because this new camera doesn't have any crop factor at 4K 30 frames per second. And if I want to zoom in, it's just a matter of grabbing the zoom ring and turn. And that's how much I can zoom in optically with the lens, plus on top, of course, I can zoom in post-production because it's still a 4K picture. And once I'm done with this, I can just turn it again, and there we go. Don't have to deal with servers or things or motors. I really love this, and I really, really, really like the extra zoom. I think it's going to give me so much more flexibility. The extra zoom plus some sort of monitoring something in front of me, that's going to be absolutely, absolutely a game changer. I tested it before with all the limitations, and it was amazing. But once again, there were too many limitations with that camera, and I've always reverted to what I had before, so no monitoring, because I couldn't deal with not being able to see the control panel, basically, of the camera itself. Now, how much did I pay the new camera and the lens? The lens came from Camera World in London. I paid it $284. It was sold as new, and to be honest, it looks brand new, but that was £284. The camera came from MPB, the UK branch, and I paid it £674. I know it's a bit more than the £500 I could have paid. The E10 is just, I don't know. I just thought I don't want to spend £500 on something with the known limitations that I explained to you. I looked online, I got interested in those new things, and I decided to go with second-hand E10 Mark II, £674 from MPB. And on top of that, I have these, what is called power adapter. It's from Amazon. It's basically a dummy battery to allow me to power the camera from an external power supply. I could use the USB connector, I think, of the camera, but it's in the way of the screen itself, number one. Number two, the connector, it's not going to be sturdy enough to be moved around all the time. Number three, I might go and use that connector for streaming to USB onto Surface and then into OBS, just for me to be able to see it. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I really like the idea that I'm using a power supply through the dummy battery. It's there, it doesn't go anywhere, I can move it around, nothing is going to fail. So that was £28.99. So in total, I paid the whole kit £987.04. So I'm not going to ask you anything, but GoFundMe is still open. You can still donate if you wanted to, even though I've reached the £700. In theory, I could raise that target to £987.04 or even more if I want to buy more. It's allowed. I checked in the rules and everything. It doesn't feel right because I originally asked for 600 and then I moved to 700 because I realized the prices were a bit higher. Then I thought with £700 I could buy the camera, the lens, and a new microphone because the wire is failing here at the back. But no, I'll buy the microphone another time. But if you feel like donating, I'm not stopping you. Also, I will have to buy some other things, probably maybe a monitor for monitoring myself. I will need to buy another stand for the E10. It's how can I say? The sky is the limit, let's put it that way. I will refrain myself from wasting money, of course, but I'd like to buy another few things, including like a long USB 3 cable that goes to the Surface for this monitoring thing, or a long and flexible HDMI cable. It's all bits and bobs, which I probably would like to buy to get the final setup, and then I guess I'll stop for a little while. So once again, thank you so much to the so many supporters who just blindly donated without knowing me, and I really appreciate your help. I will do my best to use this kit as best as I can. For now, I am absolutely humbled and amazed that I've got this new camera. I think the lens is going to be the big game changer, but obviously I've already edited a small video with the E10 Mark I as front camera. It's just amazing. I mean, the quality is just so much better than the iPad front camera can give me. So that's it. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.